What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today I have some Skarmory gameplay to showcase. Skarmory is a very strong Pokemon. It has a lot of fast move and charge move pressure, and today it was able to bail me out of a ton of bad situations. I had a lot of games where, it wasn't a great lead, it wasn't a great backline, but then Skarmory up shields, up energy, it was able to sweep the games, and honestly, this was probably some of my best gameplay I've had in the Go Battle League this season, so let's see what Skarmory can do. Alright, getting on into game number 1 here, we're going to see that we have our Cresselia against a Typhlosion. Our team is Cresselia, Skarmory, and then Water Gun Lantern in the back, so we're kind of ABA weak to fire types here. This means we're going to have to stay in with our Cresselia, try to do as much work as we can. If we had Future Sight, we could actually threaten this thing a little bit more, but Moonblast is still going to do a sizable amount of damage here. If I can reach another Grass Knot, we should be able to take a shield, but Blast Burn is a very strong move. It is likely going to put me in range where the next Incinerate will knock me out. I don't think I can reach this Grass Knot, which is a little bit unfortunate, but our Water Gun Lantern is going to come in, absorb the energy, and hopefully fast move this down so our Skarmory is going to have a little more wiggle room in the back. The Blast Burn here, though, is going to do a ton, right? It's almost going to take me down to half health already, which is very bad to see. We've lost 1.5 Pokemon off that lead matchup. A Cresselia comes in, and then their third Pokemon is an Azu. So our Skarmory does have play here, but since we don't have shield advantage or anything, it's going to be a very tricky matchup. I think the way I have to win this game is catching the Azumarill's final Ice Beam that they're going to try to throw, and do my best to sweep with Skarmory. It's going to be a tricky thing to do. At this point in the season, I'm up pretty high on the leaderboards here, so it's very likely that our opponents know how to watch for catches, and they will almost certainly not let me get it if they can help it. Our Sky Attacks are going to come through, probably get shields here because they want to save their Azu. They want to make sure they can get as much fast move and charge move pressure here because their Cresselia and Skarmory is a very bad matchup. Ice Beam's going to come through once again. We're going to shield it up. We just shield everything the Azu throws. It doesn't matter if they're not even baiting the Hydro Pump. We just need to shield. Sky Attack's going to come through again. And right here, we're going to make a very interesting play. We are intentionally not tapping our screen in between these Steel Wings. Our opponent was waiting a turn. I was waiting a turn every time I was doing a Steel Wing. I was basically trying to get in my opponent's head. When am I going to catch? When am I not going to catch? And I get the catch on our Lantern here. I take the Ice Beam here. We get the Water Gun into the Surf against this Azu. And now our Skarmory, it's still low, but we have energy on it, and we can get this Cresselia low enough with our Steel Wing pressure and with our Sky Attacks that a Brave Bird should be able to knock them out in the end game. So this game is a very technical matchup. Getting that catch against that Azu was a very hard thing to do. I actually slowed down the gameplay just a bit there so we could actually see what happened. And, I don't blame you if you didn't really understand what was going on there, but if you want to rewatch it a few times, it is such a crazy catch that I made. I kind of was freaking out when I made it on stream. We get this Brave Bird, we knock out the Cresselia, and we can take a matchup that looked so bad. It was a Shadow Typhlosion lead. We were so weak to it. The Brave Bird knocks out the Cresselia, and we can take the game on such a terrible lead. All right, next matchup here, we're going to see a Lickitung. So, not quite as bad of a lead, but this is still a very bad matchup for Cresselia to be in. We look at our backline, our Lantern doesn't want to be here either, and our Skarmory, while it is a generally decent pick against Lickitung, it is by no means a hard wall, right? So I'm just going to sack my Cresselia here, hope that my Lantern might have play in the back, and if it doesn't, that likely means it's the team that got Legend in the first in the world. The first Legend team was actually a team with a Venusaur and a Gligar in the back, which means my Skarmory is going to have a ton of play. My Lantern might not if it is that team. I'm going to try my best to get to another Grass Knot here. It's unlikely I will, but sometimes Cresselias can. It depends on how much attack the Lickitungs have, how much damage these Body Slams do. Some Cresselias, if they're good enough, they can survive this move. I don't think I can, unfortunately, here, though, which means that we're going to have to come in with one of our Pokemon, farm this down, or at least farm up as much energy as we can before they reach a Power Whip, and then throw a move to make sure that we don't take a huge amount of our health gone. If there is a Venusaur, we're going to have to swap immediately. If it's anything else, we'll have to see what comes in. It is that Venusaur, so we know it's a Gligar. It's the third now, and we're going to try to use our Skarmory to its full potential here. We are going to throw a Sky Attack as soon as we can. If they no-shield this, we instantly win the game, so we know we're going to get a shield here early. And now I need to be very careful with my energy management. I never want to give this Gligar a situation where they can CMP me on a dig, where they can basically drain all of my energy and make it so they can get my shields and a lot of health on my Skarmory down so that I don't have as much of an energy lead for that Venusaur in the back. I need to be very careful with this because our Skarmory is the only thing standing between our Venusaur, or our Lantern and that Venusaur. So we can try our best here to generate energy, stealing this down now that we got both shields. If I ever see that Venusaur come in, instantly Brave Bird. Once that Venusaur is gone, our Lantern can Water Gun down this Gligar, and we can take the game. Dig does get shielded up. Dig would do a lot more damage there than anything that this Venusaur could throw, so definitely the moves to shield. Brave Bird comes through on that Venusaur swap. We can swap out to our Lantern, Water Gun down the Shadow Gligar, and take the win here. Another tricky lead, but honestly not as bad as last time, and knowing what was possible in the back really helped us out there. This is yet another terrible lead matchup, though, much worse than Lickitung, because this beats both our Cresselia with the Bug-type damage, and then also our Skarmory with the Electric-type damage. What we're going to try to do is take shields, try to win the Zero Shield matchup, or get them to waste a shield on their Charjabug. If we can whittle this thing down a little bit, maybe our Skarmory is going to have a bit more wiggle room in the back, and it could potentially have enough play where we can sweep the endgame with it. They actually shield the first Moonblast, which means that we're going to be able to get some advantage out of this matchup at the very least, survive that X-Scissor just barely, go for the Moonblast, and probably get them down to a bit under half health at this point. Our Lantern is running Water Gun, right? So we can farm them down here, probably take 2 X-Scissors while we're at it, but we'll be able to come out of this with a ton of energy and get this Charjabug out of the way so our Skarmory is not going to have to deal with it. First X-Scissor comes through, it's going to put us down kind of low, right? 2 X-Scissors will put us into the red at this point, especially after these Volt switches, but they're not going to get that third X-Scissor before we Water Gun them down. We'll have a lot of energy coming out of this, and hopefully it's going to be enough energy to threaten whatever comes into us. Water Guns are just barely going to be enough to knock out this Charjabug here. What's going to come in? It's going to be a Shadow Alolan Sandslash running Powder Snow. This isn't a fantastic answer to Lantern. I have to wonder what the third is. Maybe it's another Water type or something like that in the back, but we're going to try to take another shield here. If we can give our Skarmory 2-0 shield advantage, there's very few Pokemon in the game that could actually beat us at that point. It could be a Lantern in the back. That'd probably be the worst case scenario, but the fact that they're staying in here, throwing an Ice Punch at me, makes me think they might be a little bit desperate at trying to take out my Skarmory. It could be something like an Azumarill as well. Azumarill pairs very well with both Charjabug and Shadow Alolan Sandslash. If that is the case, then saving a shield for that just in case it has Hydro Pump is going to be the play. It is the Azu. We're going to try to throw Brave Birds here. Since shields are down, 2 Brave Birds are easily going to land, and if I can land them both, we can knock this Azu out before they can really do anything to me. At this point, fast move pressure is my main concern, so we just want to get this Azu out of the way as soon as we can, throw the Brave Bird right when we get to it, and we can stealing down that Shadow Alolan Sandslash and take the win here with our Skarmory once again sweeping the backline. It is such a strong closer with stealing and with Brave Bird. It is hard to overcome if you don't have a hard answer to it. So, okay, yet another terrible lead here. Another core breaker for the Cresselia Skarmory duo. If this has Crunch, then Crunch is going to do a lot of damage to us. If it has Hydro Cannon, even still, that's going to do a lot of damage. And the 2 shield, we're going to do almost no damage to them. So the best case scenario for me is to try to take a shield early, use my Lantern to sponge energy, and to try to once again invest everything I have into my Skarmory. We swap into our Water Gun Lantern. Obviously, if we were Spark, we'd actually have a little bit more fast move pressure here, a little bit more energy generation. But Water Gun is resisted by the Water-type Pokemon Feraligatr here, so it's a lot more awkward than it could be. Crunch does get shielded up, but they get a debuff. This is so bad for me right now, because that debuff is going to mean that the next Crunch is nearly going to knock me out. I had to shield something, right? If I didn't shield, then there's a chance that they could just swap out, make it so that I still had to deal with the Feraligatr in the endgame. But this way, by shielding that first move from that Feraligatr, even though it did get a debuff, I was able to force them to stay in this matchup, get another Crunch onto me, and now I have a move I can throw. It might not knock them out here, it's a Water-type move, but it's going to put them low enough at this point where I can fast move them down with my Skarmory in the endgame. They come in with a Shadow Gligar. This is something I have a hard wall for with my Skarmory, but I still don't want to get that low if I can help it. If I get too low, it's going to put me into a position here where my Skarmory probably couldn't sweep the endgame, and I have to think about what could be in the back. If there's something in the back that I could still beat, then we're going to have as much of our Skarmory around as possible. I tried to make a catch there. It didn't quite work, so they overfarm. They get to another dig. We're going to throw a Sky Attack so we don't take any more damage on here if we can help it. And then if we see the Feraligatr come in, we're going to fast move it down. If we see the third come in, we're going to try to Brave Bird it or do whatever it's going to take to knock them out. What is it going to be that comes in now? We're going to see it's actually a Clodsire. So the play here now is going to be to have them throw a move before I throw a move. If I throw a Brave Bird first, it's going to make it so that they can land a Stone Edge and fast move me down with their Feraligatr. If I let them throw a move first, I'm not going to have to shield. I'm still out of range where this thing can poison sting me down, and that Feraligatr is so low they still can't Shadow Claw me down. I need to land a Sky Attack here. Even if they catch the move, I guess I go for a Brave Bird, because either way, even if they catch the move, I'm never going to get fast moved down here, and if they would catch, then that Feraligatr is not going to be able to do anything with that loaded energy they have. We get the stealing down, we can take the win against, yet again, a terrible matchup. Hopefully we're going to get a good lead one of these days. I guess not. This is a Registeel. Another hard core breaker for the Cresselia and Skarmory duo. Our Water Gun Lantern, though, is our safe swap here. We are seeing them stay in, which means maybe we have play with our Lantern in the backline, and this is amazing for us because we want nothing to do with this Registeel with our other 2 Pokemon. Water Gun Lantern does shred through the health pretty quickly. If they get a debuff, it might make it so our fast moves do less damage. It doesn't really look like it's the case. Probably still doing 2 damage per turn here with Water Gun. It's shredding through the Lickitung, or not, this is a Registeel. It's shredding through the Registeel here pretty well, and the Surf is going to put them in range where they are so low. I'm going to shield this up, though, because if I don't, how am I going to finish off this Registeel? They could probably get to another Zap Cannon against my backline, and a Mandibuzz comes in. This is a tricky scenario. I'm going to bait them with a Surf. I know I'm debuffed, but at this point, would they really want to let a Thunderbolt through either way? I guess so. So, bad bait by me. We're going to come in with our Skarmory, save what we still have left on our Lantern in case it's something that we can have, some play with in the back, and maybe try to go for the Brave Birds here, maybe try our best to whittle down this Mandibuzz so our Cresselia is not going to have to deal with it. Another thing that could be in the back right now would be a Gligar. Something like a Registeel double flyer team could definitely be a pick here in the Go Battle League. So if it is going to be that Gligar, we have fast move pressure with both our Skarmory into it and our Lantern. They are not going to shield up this move, maybe, if it is a Gligar. If it isn't a Gligar, though, we'll just see. Yeah, they do no-shield that. I should have gone for the Brave Bird. Honestly, the calls I'm making this game are not the best. But we're going to go for the Sky Attack. If they shield this, then at least we have a lot of health left on our Cresselia. They end up no-shielding it, though. So we can get to a move here with our Skarmory. Go for the Sky Attack. They're building up a ton of energy. They're going to try to farm my Skarmory all the way down, I think, at this point. Sky Attack should draw a shield. If not, we can just fast move them down at that point. So, yeah, they're going to go for the farm down or attempt to. They swap into Reggie. I'm not quite sure why, but it gives us a chance to swap out of our Skarmory there, get a bit more fast move pressure against this Gligar with our Lantern. And now, if we can get to enough moves on a Cresselia, we should be in a good spot. We have to keep in mind, though, they swapped out of that Skarmory matchup with this Gligar with a ton of energy loaded, right? So that means that they are going to have a lot of energy to throw into our Cresselia. If they can reach 2 Aerial Aces here, we are in a very bad spot. A Grass Knot would not knock them out here, so we go for the Moonblast. If we get the shield, then we're going to go for a Grass Knot on the next move, because at this point, after the fast move pressure that we have on them, it should be enough to knock them out. If Grass Knot doesn't quite knock them out, we can swap to Skarmory, do a Steel Wing, and that's going to have a lot more fast move pressure than our Cresselia has with these Psycho Cuts. Let's see what happens. Are they going to survive this move? If they do, we swap instantly, which we do, and then we can take them out with a Simul KO with our Skarmory. We get the win because our Cresselia is still alive, and we can take that game on a Registeel lead into this team. Alright, finally a lead that's not absolutely terrible for me. We have play here with our Cresselia, and we also have a lot of play in the back with our Skarmory. With that said, our Water Gun Lantern likely wants nothing to do with this Dragon type, so we're going to try to whittle this down with our Cresselia, land these Moonblasts, and make it so it's not going to be a big problem for our backline. They might try to make a catch, they might try to 2-shield through this matchup, because Altarias, they can try to shield through this if they have the breakpoint against me, which it looks like they do. They go for a Moonblast, and they swap into a Greedent from the looks of it here. Greedent's not the most common pick in the Great League, but I haven't seen any Greedents that are being used, likely are running Body Slam and Trailblaze. They throw right after 4 Mud Shots here, which means for sure this is a Body Slam. They're very likely running Trailblaze. Our Skarmory is such a strong wall to this matchup, I can probably just farm this all the way down. I don't have to throw any energy here. I can come out of this with 100 energy, and I can honestly take very little damage from these charge moves that this thing's throwing. The one bad thing is Greedent is very spammy. Even though we're not taking a lot of damage each time they throw a move, they are throwing a lot of moves here. They're likely going to get another move even, which will get me almost into the red at this point. If Altaria comes back in, we'll throw energy. Well, honestly, if anything comes back in, we'll probably throw something at it. But we just have to see what their third is to see how they want to play it out. It is going to be that alt that comes back in. We have a Sky Attack loaded for it. We have another Sky Attack. We have back-to-back moves here, so if they shield, we'll throw back-to-back. If not, we'll see what comes in. It's a Quagsire. This is a Mudboy that can be a little bit scary for my Lantern, but if it was something like, I don't know, a Shadow Whiscash, that would be a much more scary matchup, because this Pokemon doesn't actually have a lot of ground-type damage. Instead, they're rocking Stone Edge most of the time. We make a nice catch on this move. At this point, it's likely an Aqua Tail, though. Our Cresselia does survive. They probably did a nice undercharge there, but we have a lot of energy left over on our Skarm because of that catch, and we also have the ability to start shielding up moves here on our Lantern. Maybe it's going to be a bait, but at this point, all we need to do is take one shield from this Quagsire, and then we'll be able to get to another Brave Bird or a Sky Attack against this with our Skarmory. The Surf is going to come through here. It's likely going to get shielded. If not, we fast move them down. They do shield. And at this point, I know Lantern is useless for me. Well, I shouldn't say useless, but it's not going to be my guaranteed win condition. I can call these moves because they have been baiting me, right? So if they do start baiting with Aqua Tails, I might as well call them. No matter what happens, I still almost have a move on Skarmory. I can still get to it. They Stone Edge here. I survive the move because Lantern is a tank, and we can get the Surf off, take the knockout against this Shadow Quagsire, and once again proving why Water Gun Lantern honestly is not that scared of a lot of these Mud Boys. Alright, getting into this next matchup here, we're going to see a Vigoroth lead into our Cresselia. So this is probably the first lead that I'd say is just a strong matchup here for Cresselia. It's not like Altaria where they can really two-shield through you. I mean, if they really want to start investing shields, they can go down shields if they want to try to flip this matchup. But Cresselia in the Zero Shield especially, which is the matchup I'd want to play out, is in a very strong spot. Moonblast is going to come through. I like to play the Zeros out just by going with 2 Moonblasts, because it should almost be enough to knock out by the time they get to the Body Slams here. They're going to throw another one at me. They can get to probably 3 Body Slams here. Maybe not, though, if the next Moonblast should be enough to knock them out. We'll make sure they don't make a catch. We wait a turn to see if the counter comes through, which it does. Moonblast is going to come through. If this knocks out or puts them into range of 1 fast move, they won't get their 3rd Body Slam off. Our Cresselia is still very healthy. I want to preserve this, because if they're staying in that lead matchup, it could mean that their backline is a little bit weak to Cresselia. What's going to come in? It's going to be that Mandibuzz. At this point, I'm thinking this could be the Dunebug team, which it actually is. It's going to be the Shadow Whiscash. So Vigoroth, Shadow Whiscash, and then Mandibuzz. I safe swap my Lantern here because I don't want to give that Mandibuzz a big farm down against my Cresselia. And I know that in the back, I can use my my Lantern here even against this Shadow Whiscash. It's not going to get one-shot by a Mud Bomb as we saw there. And we can whittle them down with Water Gun pressure, take a shield even using the Surf. And hopefully maybe take another shield, or at least put them in range where we can fast move them down later on. This Surf does come through. They no-shield it this time, so they are going to be able to win this matchup after investing 1 shield here, and they have a bit of energy now. I can try to fast move them down with Skarm. Even though Steelings are resisted, Shadow Whiscash is not the bulkiest Pokemon in the game, so we're going to shield up a very likely Scald here, and hopefully fast move them down before they get to another one. They end up swapping to Mandibuzz here, and this is an interesting scenario. I want to go for a Brave Bird because I feel like Brave Bird is almost always going to get no-shielded right now. I'm fine swapping to my Cresselia at this point too, because a Brave Bird puts them into Moonblast range, so they don't want to stay in this matchup for too long. They probably just want to get my Cresselia out of the way here, so I landed a Brave Bird basically for free. I need to try to either farm down this Mandibuzz or take all the shields and get an ability to throw a Sky Attack against that Whiscash, because I think there's still a chance that Whiscash could get to a Scald against my Skarmory. I know I survive another Dark Pulse from this range, but if we no-shield that Dark Pulse, it puts us low enough where maybe they could fast move us down. Hopefully not, but we're just going to have to see how it plays out. Mandibuzz is very bulky. They do get to this move. If they can get to this Dark Pulse, and then another Dark Pulse, and then also get to an Aerial Ace, we're in a bad spot. If we ever see that Whiscash come in, we throw the Sky Attack to make sure they can't Mud Bomb us. If they ever stay in, we just try to do our fast moves. What comes in here, it's going to be the Whiscash. We throw the Sky Attack as soon as we can, make sure they can't get to the Mud Bomb, and as long as 4 Steel Wings here will be enough to knock out the Mandibuzz, we can easily take the win here this game. We get the 4th Steel Wing through, it knocks out the Mandibuzz, and we can take the win on a very favorable lead, but a bit of a tricky backline. Alright, well, speaking of favorable leads, this is unfavorable. This is about as bad of a lead as we can get, but we have overcome leads like this in the past. Once again, we're going to stay in the lead, try to just soft lose the Zero Shield matchup. Well, honestly, the Zero Shield matchup, Cresselia can actually win. That's why we were seeing these Charjabugs actually shield in that matchup. X-Scissor doesn't two-shot us here, at least not yet, without getting a ton of Volt Switch damage through. So we're going to go for this Moonblast. Does it draw a shield? Not yet. Maybe they'll shield the next one, and hopefully we'll get some advantage out of this. Once again, fast move them down with our Water Gun Lantern, and try to sweep the backline with our Skarmory. Another X-Scissor comes through. We survive that just barely this time. They might have a bit more attack on theirs, because it seems like this is way less comfortable than the first time we played out this matchup. Moonblast does get shielded, so at least we have a shield advantage here going into the backline with our Skarmory, and it looks like they're staying in here. They're not going to try to swap out and save their Charjabug, which is fantastic news for our Skarmory in the back. They'll get 2 X-Scissors once again, but they will never reach that 3rd before we get the full Water Gun down. We'll have a lot of energy loaded on our Lantern. We have shield advantage as well, so depending on what their backline is, we're not in a terrible spot. What's going to come in to try to absorb our energy? It's a Goodra, so not the best pick to see here. Goodra is going to be able to absorb anything that our Lantern can throw, but we still have a Surf loaded. Getting this chip damage isn't terrible because it puts them into Sky Attack range, and their 3rd, once again, is going to be an Azumarill. This is an interesting matchup. At least we have shield advantage here this time against this, so we can try to throw Sky Attacks. They likely won't shield this move, but if I just make sure that my Skarmory doesn't take a ton of damage here, we should be able to take out both this Azu and this Goodra in the back with our Skarmory. I kind of have to shield. I need to respect a potential Hydro Pump here, but we also have to keep in mind Goodra did get that recent buff, getting Thunder Punch as a charge attack, so we can't shield everything this thing throws. Thunder Punch would do more than an Ice Beam would do, so no shielding a guaranteed Ice Beam is going to be the play. Throw the Sky Attack, hopefully farm them down as well, so we'll have enough energy to throw against that Goodra when it comes back in. I know that they didn't swap out with enough energy to outpace me to 2 Thunder Punches, so we're going to try our best to survive the Dragon Breath fast move pressure and just not get farmed down. If we get farmed down, that's our lose condition. If not, then we can get the Sky Attack off and barely win the game. They throw energy here, which might be a little bit of a mistake. It means they get one less Dragon Breath through by throwing this, and we will get the Sky Attack here on 1 HP, just barely surviving, getting this move off, and that Lantern, or that Azumarill in the back is very low. We can swap to our Lantern, get the Surf off, and knock them out. A tricky lead, once again, the worst core breaker honestly imaginable here with that Charjabug, but we're able to overcome it because Cresselia is a neutral monster, and once it's out of the way, we have a lot of play with our Skarmory. Alright, yet again, another lead that I would consider a very annoying matchup, a very bad core breaker here, but this time it's a non-shadow, which honestly I think I probably prefer here, because the non-shadow is going to be able to, get to the moves on the same pacing here, right? But it's not going to be able to do quite as much damage as the shadow. With that said, they can survive a Grass Knot, so keeping that in mind, we're going to not really one-shot them here, but we can still maybe get shield advantage in the Zero Shield matchup. If we survive this move and get this next Grass Knot off, we're going to be able to get a lot of damage onto the Skater, and then also get a shield. They might shield this because they get a nice farm down if they do, which it looks like they will, but our Lantern, even though we are running Water Gun, it's still going to do a great job at absorbing the energy here, and we can fast move them down because Water Gun, it still has a decent amount of fast move pressure. Is it running Crunch? Is it running Hydro Cannon? It's going to just throw the Hydro Cannon, so it's likely running Ice Beam here, which means that we're not going to be that scared of this. And yet again, it's going to be the Shadow Alolan Sandslash with Powder Snow in the back. We're going to play this out very similarly to last time, where we're going to be throwing the Surfs, try to take what we can out of this matchup. And since they're shielding this, I'm thinking maybe it's yet again another thing weak to Lantern in the back. So if they're going to try to stay in this matchup, I know I can 2-shield. I have 2 shields. Might as well use them here. And then Lantern is going to be able to whittle down this Alolan Sandslash with the Water Gun fast move pressure, put them into Surf range, and we have so much energy right now that we can probably Thunderbolt anything that comes in the back. What is it going to be? Is it going to be another Azu, something crazier? Let's just have to watch. And it's going to be a Skeletor. Good thing we saved our Lantern here, because we wanted nothing to do with that with our Skarmory. Alright, terrible lead, yet another core breaker, yet another thing that is so good into our whole team, honestly. Even our Lantern's not strong into this. So I think the play here is going to be to stay in the lead and CMP on this move. Once they get 6 Volt Switches in, they basically are guaranteed to throw their move, or else they'll go over 100 energy. Unfortunately, we CMP on a Mirror Shot rather than a Wild Charge. If this was a Shadow Zone, our Moonblast would be doing a lot more damage, but then again, if it's a Shadow Zone, then we would already be in range of Wild Charge. But since this is non-Shadow, I know I should survive this Wild Charge here, get off a Grass Knot, and hopefully get some sort of advantage out of this matchup. Grass Knot does come through here. Is it going to get shielded, or are they going to let it go? My guess is they probably do shield this to save their zone for the backline, and at this point, we're going to try our best to save our Cresselia. We are 1 fast attack away from that Grass Knot, and I swap my Lantern, and they come in with a Superior. This matchup is absolutely terrible. It couldn't be much worse, honestly, but I know that my Skarmory has a lot of play into this backline. At least most of the time when you see a Magnezone lead, it means that Skarmory should have some play, and we have whittled it down. We've got it into range where Sky Attack probably is enough to knock out the zone, and we have shield advantage. So if we get a huge energy lead out of the Superior matchup, there's a chance our Skarmory should be able to sweep the backline. We're going to go for our Steel Wings, not throw a move here, right? We want to get as much energy as we can out of this matchup. Superior doesn't have any moves that are going to threaten me too much, so at this point, as long as I farm them down, I'm going to be able to put in a ton of work with my Skarmory into the backline. Maybe it's a Gligar, maybe it's a Cresselia, maybe it's something else. I guess we'll just have to see once they come in with it. Aerialist comes through. We are at half health here, so we have a lot of energy, but not a lot of health left. We get the Sky Attack. Are they going to shield this? Are they going to let it go? We just have to see, because I'm also going to try to make a nice move here where I come in with my Cresselia, but they also make a nice play where they come in with their Golbat, apparently. I'm throwing the Brave Bird. I wanted to throw it before they got this move off, but they go for the Poison Fang, and this puts me in a very bad spot. I'm going to have so low defense here. What I need to do is undercharge this Brave Bird perfectly to make sure I can get the Steel Wing down, and then get a Brave Bird or a Sky Attack against that Magnezone here. The Magnezone has energy. I have to throw as soon as I can here, and we get the Sky Attack off. Is it going to be enough to knock out this Magnezone? It is extremely resisted, but we get the move through, we get the knockout against this Magnezone, and we can take the win on such a terrible lead matchup there. So as you saw today, I was ABA weak to so many different Pokemon, right? The Fire types, the Charjabugs, apparently the Magnezones as well. Even the Feraligatrs are putting in a lot of work against my team. But Skarmory in combination with Cresselia and Lantern, honestly, it was crazy how many matchups we were able to overturn today. Alright, thank you all so much for watching this video. I stream Pokemon Go PvP basically every day at twitch.tv/itzaxon, so if you want to see content like this live, make sure to check me out there. I'm also planning on uploading a lot more videos to this channel, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and goodbye.